Hello. After the Christmas break and a couple of weeks off with this year's Superbug, WasteWatch is back to pick up on some of the waste stories we've missed over the last month. And we're starting outside the Bank of England, which recently increased our interest rates unexpectedly. It did so, of course, in response to the worrying situation on Britain's inflation front. And this rate increase is unlikely to be the last. And that matters because the higher interest rates, the more expensive it's going to be to service our ballooning national debt. And just last week, we found out that the official national debt has moved above £500 billion for the first time ever. But of course, as regular viewers of WasteWatch will know, the official national debt is a huge understatement of our true national debt. Let's remind ourselves of some of the figures.
The numbers are so huge we need to count in trillions, a trillion being 1,000 billion. So as well as the 0.5 trillion of official debt, you also have to take account of that off-balance sheet PFI debt, those unfunded public pensions, and the cost of cleaning up those old nuclear power stations. The grand total is £1.7 trillion, or around £70,000 for every household in Britain.
Now, debt economists like to talk about virtuous circles and vicious circles. In the early years of the current Labour government, Britain was in a virtuous circle. Interest rates, partly because of the independence of the Bank of England over there, were coming down. And what that meant was the cost of servicing the national debt was also coming down, which meant that the government could increase expenditure on other things and at the same time reduce borrowing. But the circle has now turned. For one thing, public expenditure has exploded over the last few years, which makes the whole fiscal situation a lot more difficult. And now that interest rates have also turned up, the cost of servicing that national debt is going to increase. That's bad news for taxpayers and very bad news for Britain. We are in a vicious circle. Right, let's pick up a few of the other recent waste stories, and let's start on that perennial, the 2012 Olympics.
The big figure we were all given when we won the Olympics was £2.375 billion. But that was always a gross understatement of the true overall cost. To that, you had to add another £2.7 billion for venues outside of the Olympic Park plus the village, a further £7.2 billion for transport infrastructure, and a further £1.5 billion for the cost of actually running the games while they're taking place. The overall total was £13.8 billion. But over the past few weeks, stories of cost escalation have been flooding in. Just before Christmas, Tessa Jowell herself admitted that the £2.375 billion figure had leapt by £900 million. And now, consultants she has appointed to try and get a grip on costs have apparently estimated that the basic construction costs of the Olympics could come in way over £5 billion. Our estimate remains that the overall cost will be of the order of £20 billion. Now here's a story you may have missed. As part of his compulsive but wildly unsuccessful economic meddling, Gordon Brown introduced something called the R&D tax credit aimed at getting firms to carry out more research in Britain. It costs us £600 million a year, and a recent Treasury survey has revealed that half of it is wasted. The research would have been carried out anyway.
Now, I'm not altogether happy about that banana. I'm sure it breaches government guidelines. Perhaps that's better. That can't be right, can it?
No wonder the government itself has just spent £7 million of our money on a consultant-led project to train its staff how to position bananas and other objects on their desks. The key distinction with a banana is whether it is active, in which case it can be on the desktop, or inactive, in which case it has to be put in a drawer.
And what about this hand-washing business? It's far less straightforward than you might imagine, you know. Thank goodness we've now got a proper government guideline as to how to do it.
For a trifling £2.5 million, plus the employment of a £50,000 per annum hand-washing coordinator, the Scottish Executive has given us a simple 10-point guide to washing your hands. Let's give it a go. Okay, we start here. Right, then here, then here, then here. Oh, no, I need to go back to there. Oh no, hang on. Oh.
Waste watchers may be interested to know that that door behind me is actually the back door to the Bank of England, where all the money comes out. What little money we have left, of course.